Hi, everyone. Hi. Hello. We are here. It is July. Yes, indeed. It is July up in here. And we are here on another episode of the Question Live Show. Come on in here. Come on in here because, whoo, child, I think I need something to drink already. Okay? I think I need something to drink already. Listen, this is the Question Live Show with your host, moi, Verona Willis-Brown. Yep, that is me. We're here. This is a platform where we inspire, we empower, but most of all, we support each other. Yep, indeed. We like to support each other because when we support each other, we grow better. When we work together, we will grow stronger. When we grow stronger, we are more powerful. There is a force with us when we work together. So let us get this right now that we work together. So this is a platform where we come on in here. I said, come on in here with your story, honey. Bring your story, bring your book, bring your work, bring whatever you are doing that you need some help with, because everybody needs a little bit of help sometimes. Come on in so we could do this. You don't sit over in no corner by yourself thinking that you can manage nothing by yourself. Darling, no such thing, no such thing. So here is the platform for you. This is a very safe place. We don't judge you according to your story. We don't judge you according to your work. We say, come on in here because together we are going to replenish the hurt. Okay? So listen here. I want to say to you, this platform is educational. It is educational. We come on in here, we teach, we learn because we are students and teachers at the same time. So when you come on in here with the mentality that you're going to learn something or you're going to teach me something. As your host, I'm always a student, always. So I show up ready to learn and ready to support you. Now listen to me here. If this is your first time, I mean absolutely first time. You never heard of the Are You Free Enough platform. You never heard of the Question Live Show. And of course, you never heard of Verona Willis-Brown. I want to say to you that tonight is your special night. Because if it is your first time, please, by all means, go in the comment section and put me. Put your name or do a wave, say first timers, do something so I can see you in the comment section. Do not be in the back peeping in because I won't see you. I want to see you. I want to acknowledge you because oftentimes we go through life and we don't get acknowledged. Baby, I like to acknowledge you. So be in the present. I want to see you and say, hey girl, I see you. Amy, and I see you. I want to see you over there. Okay, you are over there on the other side. Please wave to me. So I want to welcome you if this is your first time. So as the first timer, I like to introduce myself to you. And I said, I am a native of Jamaica, not the little state or something. I am from the beautiful island of Jamaica. So where I say I'm from the island of Jamaica, I like to brag about it because it's the most beautiful place in the world. Yes, I do. But I like to say that because I like to consider myself because I am a farmer's daughter. And what I usually say I'm a farmer's daughter is because I like to go into my roots and I like to use the analogy of my farmer's background, which is the seed that my parents would plant something and watch it grow. So it's the same concept that I will come here, use the analogy or wrap it around the topic that we have here to say that we need to plant seed of positivity so we can watch it grow, right? So that is my introduction to the newbies. Newbies, let me tell you something. I am from a huge family. Very huge, not 5 people. I'm from a huge family. So when you come in as a new person, you are coming in as a family member. Here we are family. So you are coming in, you're adding on to my family, and I just get so excited. I get really excited when I see a new person. Yes, because what happened, it expands my family, okay? And for those of you who've been here, y'all know the deal, y'all know the drill, y'all know that when you show up, I show up, we show up together, and that's how we work. We work this out together. Why? Because we are on a journey called life. And on that journey, we all got a common goal, and that is to succeed. However, you define success, honey, that's up to you. That is not my way. I'm judging you to tell you that's not success. You define success however you want. But let me inform you on something or remind you on something that nobody can succeed by themselves. You didn't know that? Nope. Nobody can succeed by themselves. And because we are here together, for those of you returning, please welcome the new people and let them feel welcome. Let them know that they are part of this family. Before we go any further, I want to say this. For those who've been here, they know that sometimes I have to bring out the fan. I have to bring out the fan because I get into a whole different world. So I have to bring out the fan. I have this fancy fan now that looks like it's a handbag, the handle, whatever the case. So if you see me, newbies taking out the fan, just pray for me, Lord. Pray for me. Just pray for me. Because yeah. But I want to talk about this. It is so great to know that we are in July. Yep, and we're in the season of abundance and overflow. We are in a harvest, and today is an open door. Today we're in July because July is an open door for the harvest. So if you are in position, you are going to receive if you planted something. If you didn't plant anything, then you're going to get run over. I'm just want to let you know that. Yes, indeed, because sometimes we get so used to hearing all the good news and we don't want to hear the bad news. No, no, no. If you did not plant anything good, you cannot be in the harvest to reap. It's just that simple. If my parents didn't plant anything, there was no way they should be looking for anything to grow. So, with that said, I want to say to each and every one of you, of course, newbies and well as returning audience, that listen, here, we like to celebrate. We celebrate a lot up in here. So whatever it is, whether it is your birthday, your anniversary, your boo's birthday, your children's birthday, children graduated, children getting married, all sorts of stuff. You found out you're having a baby. You just had a baby. You just got married. Whatever the case is, we like to celebrate here. Okay, I have a cheerleading squad somewhere. Yep. I get them and we celebrate you. So whatever it is that you would like to celebrate, maybe you develop yourself a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Now, whatever is it that you would like to celebrate for us to join in with you, put it in the comment section that, oh, I'm celebrating this today. And we celebrate with you, right? That's what we do up in here. And I would like to inform you as well that we like to use the F word up in here. Yes, we apply the F word in this show. Yes, we use like three of them. Three times we use the F word. And the three F word that we use, come on in. Faith, fun, and family. Yes, those are the F words that we use up in here. We use them a lot, and when we don't use them, we apply them, okay? Because faith is the substance that got me here to be your host, right? So that is how we're going to do. That's how we work up in here. But let me tell you something. I am so excited. Let me tell you something before I go any further. I mentioned that I'm from a huge family, right? I hope you pay attention to that. Come on in. Come on in. No. Draw a little bit closer because I like to talk about my family. Yes, I do. I have the permission to talk about my family on this show. So come on in a little bit closer so you can hear a little bit more about my family. Come on. Are you listening? Good. Now I mentioned that my family is very huge. Huge. You see, my family is so huge that every single month, I mean, absolutely every month, we got birthdays. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 birthdays. Every single month. And every year, somebody's graduating from somewhere. Whether it is pre-K, kindergarten, babysitter, somewhere. Somebody's graduating. So I personally right about now want to say shout out to my family who have birthdays, because I ain't calling no names because they're going to call me and say you missed mine. Family who celebrating birthdays, anniversary, having a baby, all that good stuff. Because we just go on about our business and we just do a lot of things and we achieve a lot of things. And that's how we do. Right? So with that said, you over there on the other side of my screen, let me tell you something. We are on this journey. And because we are on this journey, we got gifts and talents. I mean, the Lord knows we got gifts and talents. Because inside of us, we got sewn up with some gifts and talent, honey. You're like a little flower garden up my shirt. We got sewn up with some gifts and talents. And because God gave us some gifts and talents, let me tell you, he said for us to work together so we can be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth. So let me tell you something. I'm going to stop talking. Why am I going to stop talking? Because we are open in July with our lovely guest. We have a guest here tonight. We have a guest here tonight. And let me tell you something. I read his story and I'm like, I need a drink. So if you need to get a drink, y'all better go ahead and get your drink right now because we're going to get into some stuff tonight, right? We are going to talk some real stuff. We're going to share some real testimony. We're going to share some real story. So I have my water over there, but I might need something stronger than water. But whatever the case is, we have a guest here tonight. And because we have a guest here tonight, I want to say, honey, I want to say to y'all over there, everybody over there, let me welcome y'all. Let me welcome you. I want to say, we have a first timers. Demetrius, it is your first time. It is your first time. Let me get my cheerleading squad. Hold on, honey, because I like to see where is my cheerleading squad. Honey, I got a whole cheerleading squad over here. Demetrius, this is my cheerleading squad because my hands can't clap a lot, So this is my little pom-pom cheerleading squad. So I get excited for you. And I will get in touch with you after the show. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Demetrius, for showing up. So listen up. I'm going to stop talking because I have a guest here tonight. My brother is coming on and he's going to give you some real stuff, okay? Sit back, tuck in your shirt, I don't know what you got to do. But whatever the case that you got to do, I am excited. I am totally excited to have this guest on tonight. So in case y'all see me take out my fan, it's because the store going to get real. Like real. Okay? So you might see me turn on my fan because this fan is so fancy. You see how fancy it is? I press my button, honey, and it just like, woo. It just like, woo, look at that. It just blow on and keep me cool. So I'm going to be cool right up in here once the story starts. Okay? So with that said, let me be, okay, fan. We don't need you right now. Let's stop that. With that said, let me bring on my guest. My guest is right here. I am so excited to have you, my brother Aaron. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing fantastically well. I'm so excited to have you. Honey, you are hoping in July, and this is a way to open July. This is a way, this kind of substance that you're bringing, because I read it. This kind of substance that you're bringing that I'm going to allow you to share. We need it for July because July is a serious month. I don't know if anybody noticed, but July is very serious. It stands in place as an open door, open window for some extra stuff. Some extra blessing, some extra abundance, and all that extra stuff is happening in July. So I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit who you are, where you're tuning in from, and all that good stuff. And then we're going to roll into tonight's episode. So thank you again. Come on in and share with us.
Okay, great. My name is Aaron M. Kinzer. I am an author, journalist, and the impact poet. I am from Charleston, West Virginia, the capital city of coal country. I also formerly resided in Virginia and Tennessee area, Bristol, the Smoky Mountains, Blue Ridge Mountain area of the country. Beautiful area, Appalachian Mountain region. And now I reside in Augusta, Georgia, and Augusta, Georgia is my home. I am living my best life at this moment, trying to just make it day by day in my art and my artistry and in my craft and pursuing my passions and my visions and dreams. And, I'm really happy to be on the show. I'm really glad you gave me an opportunity to meet all your followers and fans and share my story and share my testimony and my story of second chances and redemptions and righting my wrongs and making it through the fire and then coming out on the other side, a better person, a changed person, a focused and driven person, and someone that's ready to leave my mark on the world in a positive way. So thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. And I'm glad to be here with you.
Wow. Should I start sipping my water?
Maybe. Hey, I got my water. I got my water right here. The man, the myth, the legend.
Let me see what it says.
That's what it says. The man, the myth, the legend.
All right. I love it. I love it indeed. See, when I have to have to sip my water this early, I know things gonna go down because I heard a few words, and one of the big words. Oftentimes a big word kind of like scare me. So what I used to do with big words, Aaron, let me tell you, I want to welcome. First of all, before I even say anything regarding the big word that you said, let me tell you something. I want to stop for a moment. And what I want to stop for a moment to do is to celebrate you. I want to salute you. I want to salute you, my brother. I want to pause for this moment to just let that sink in, just to celebrate you as a being, you as a man, you as a king, you as a God, because we often don't call our men God, we say king, but you are a God because we came from God. And as a goddess, you are a God because we cut in the image of God. So I want to take a moment just to pause. Let my heart speak to you, to let you know that I am proud. I am proud to sit next to you virtually, sit next to you as your sister, to sit next to you, to have you here, just to get a glimpse of your story, just to see your work. I am proud to call you my brother. I am proud.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I really want to salute you. And I'm not even going to salute you from my lips. I'm saluting you from my heart.
That means a lot. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I salute you from my heart. Like, audience, let me tell you, whenever I pause to salute someone from my heart before we even get into the topic, let me tell you, it is serious. It is serious because I love from my heart, but if I pause to salute you from the beginning, this is heavy. It's heavy. So I really stop to pause and salute you. Salute to you. And I hope that you pause and salute yourself.
I'm paused. Hey, you got me looking around like, who in the world is she talking to?
Pause. Yes, because we sometimes we go through life and we fail to acknowledge ourselves, and I fail to celebrate ourselves. We celebrate everybody else, and we fail sometimes to celebrate ourselves. And I tell you, I'm so in love with me. I love me so much that I have no other chance but to love and salute you because I celebrate myself. And you said something in your introduction that I'm living my best life.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get chances, when you get opportunity to live that second life, I call it the borrow time. Don't play with the borrow time.
Nah, I ain't playing with this time. I played with time before, and it's no more games to be played with time.
Yeah, like I tell people, when you get that, like when you get those opportunities, because not everybody survived that. Not everybody survived to make it to get a second, third, fourth, fifth, 100 times. Everybody don't get those extra opportunities. So when we get those opportunities, I like to encourage people, don't take it for don't take it for granted. Like, just go hard. Just like go in there like, hey, just go in there. Because you hear me in the introduction say nobody can succeed by themselves. So however we define success, nobody. So it doesn't even matter if you're the president or the prime minister or governor, teacher, student, doctor. Nobody can succeed by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to stop and say, you know what? I have accomplished some stuff. I celebrate myself. I'm succeeding. So whatever way you want to call success, then that's up to you. So my goodness, you call a big word, and that big word, I was going to say, in big words, when I was raising my daughter, I used to break up big words.
Mm-hmm.
I gave her the big word and said, this is the big word. But what I used to do with her, I used to say, go inside the big word and find as many words as possible. Find as many words that you can. There's no time limit to give me those words. And the big word that you used was redemption. It's very heavy. Redemption is a very big word. And not only that it's big, it's carrying a weight. to be redeemed, it's carrying a weight that you're coming from the chains. You're coming from the shackles. You're coming from that bondage. You're coming from that muck. You're coming from that. And when you're coming from that, that's redeemed. So I read your story. I read a little bit about you. And that put me where we are going to talk about redeem. And it's going to go according to the topic tonight, because sometimes we're going to go off the topic because based on what we are sharing. So our topic tonight says seeing the invisible. And that might sound like it's a conflict of interest. It might sound like, how can you see the invisible? The invisible is something that you can't see. Agree?
I agree. Can't see the invisible.
You can't see the invisible. If someone said, oh, that's invisible, how can you see it? But there's so many areas in life that are invisible. And for us to see it, it takes a lot. So I am going to touch a part of your story that I would like for you to share with the audience, because the invisible can be seen. Somewhere along the line, it can be seen. And we are going to exercise that notion that the invisible can be seen. We're going to exercise that saying that the invisible can be seen. We're going to exercise that. We're going to show the audience, because sometimes it's not what we say, it's what we show them. Mm-hmm. That the invisible can be seen, because when we go into life, most of the time society calls us to be invisible. Nobody see us. But there is a God. Faith allow us to see the invisible.
Right.
So at this point, you are a young man. And
almost young.
You're almost a young man, right? Yeah. You're almost a young man right now. You're a gentleman, all that good stuff. But I want to talk about the young man, the 21-year-old Aaron.
Yeah.
I want to talk about him. I want to get his story. I want to see what little Aaron, young 21-year-old Aaron, got to say. Tell us about Aaron at 21.
Oh man, Aaron at 21 was a young father, college dropout, then a young father, and he had a lot of ambition, a lot of dreams, a lot of want for material things. He had a lot of thoughts in his mind that he thought were correct and right, and he had an idea of what he wanted and how he wanted to go about doing things. And young Aaron was just real driven, real headstrong, real locked in on what he wanted to do with himself. And so 21-year-old Aaron has started selling drugs earlier in the year of 2002. So then that young man, I decided to quit work and stop working and to pursue a career in drug dealing full time at age 21. And that's what I did. I stopped punching the clock. I quit my job and I began to embark on a journey of basically a life of crime through drug dealing, various different illegal drugs that I sold and distributed. And young Aaron was just as driven in that world as he was in any other world. And probably more so driven because he was able to obtain the money he wanted to get the things that allowed him to buy the material stuff that he wanted. And that clouded my judgment at that age. That distorted my view and warped my vision and views of life itself. And it led to me making some of the most bad decisions that I've ever made for the longest period of time that I ever made them. For 9 straight years, 8 straight years, I lived that life as a drug dealer from age 21 to age 28, almost 29. That's what I did full time with no other care in the world to pursue another form of employment. That was my life and that was my world. And that's how I fed my family and fed myself. And that was the decision that 21-year-old Aaron made. And it was a faithful one. It was a July afternoon in the year 2023 and July 4th weekend. And my job told me that if it didn't come into work, that I'd be fired if I got back when I got back from out of town. And I had my daughter sitting on my lap. She was 1 at the time, not even 2 years old. And I hung the phone up with my job, and I looked at her and I told her that, that was it. I told her, my daughter, my 1-year-old daughter, that I'm now going full time in the world of the underworld, the world of drug dealing, and that's what I did. And I did that, and I paid a very, very huge cost for it.
Wow. You told your 1-year-old daughter.
Yeah, she was on my lap. She was on my lap that afternoon, and I was calling in to work because a family reunion coming up, 2003 family reunion, and I wanted to go. But my job was like, nah, like we need you to work. I'm like, man, I want to go to my family, and they were like, well, listen, man, we're not giving you off. If you call in, you may not have a job when you come back. I had already been selling drugs at that time for about 4 or 5 months. And I began to already make more money selling drugs than I was making with my paycheck, but I was just groomed to work. I was a worker. My mother taught me to have a job and be productive and do that. Right. So that's what I did. But, quickly the drug dealing and the money from the drug dealing began to overtake that. And so it made it easy for me to decide to quit work. And, I had my daughter on my lap. I looked at her and I made that decision right there with her on my lap. Yeah.
You know what? Life has a way to do things, because I heard you mention a date, and it's the same week right about now.
Actually,
the week of July 4th.
Exactly right. 21 years ago.
Yes.
21 years ago, I made a faithful decision. This week, right.
21
years ago this week, I made a faithful decision to pursue a career in drug dealing, and it has led me to this interview. That decision has led me here to this interview.
I heard the date, and I'm playing around with it in my head, and you're like, okay, no, it was the week of July 4th. We're literally in the week of July 4th.
Yeah. This week, exactly. 21 years ago.
How life got a way to do things, huh?
Yeah.
Life got a way to do things.
Yeah, it's surreal. I can't believe it. Yeah, it's funny you brought that up. Exactly right. 21 years ago. Yeah.
I heard it and it went over my head for a second, and I'm like, wait a minute. Did you just mention the week of July 4th? Actually, we are in the week of the July 4th, coming right up.
Yeah.
So 21 years later.
Yeah.
Here you are.
Yeah.
And 21 years later, within 21 years of this time, because now your daughter is 22.
22, yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to touch her in a minute. So now that 21 years later, somewhere within that 21 frame of mind, there were some invisible moments. Invisible dirt on dirty money.
Absolutely. There were several unseen factors and an unseen hand governing my world. You know what I mean? And it's hard to give that a positive light and to spin that into a positive story, but I mean, it's led me here to this day. That's my life. Everyone has a story. Everyone has a life. Everyone has something that they don't want to tell. They're ashamed of, whatever it may be. But there was a force of nature, a God force, governing our steps. Whether we want to, whether because most folk don't attribute your bad actions to God, right? But if God is in everything and of all things, then God is in and of the bad things as well.
Of course.
That doesn't
say that again. Say it again, because I don't think a lot of people understand that, because God is aware. God controls
I'm omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient. I mean, these are the titles and the adjectives we use to describe
Yeah.
our Creator. So we can't take those away when we don't when we want to paint a picture of holiness or purity and say no, God wasn't in that. Then what was? You know what I mean? So I mean, but it was all part of the divine plan to create and shape and form me and mold me. And it's hard to say that. It's hard to have people hear that and look at you funny when you say that. But I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, they didn't. That's just the story. I mean, this is just my story, and I'm telling it. But I didn't have, I didn't write the story before time.
Right. That
The
part.
story was written. You know what I mean?
That
So
part.
this was my story that was written. Everyone has a story, whether it be they were millionaires or billionaires or downtrodden, homeless or whatever. But that's their story. This happens to be my story.
And I oftentimes says this, Erin, that our story is not really for us. Our story stands as strength to somebody, right? It adds something to somebody else. And for God knew at 21 what was going to happen.
Right.
Before you were conceived in your mother's womb.
Right.
Right? So God is like, okay, I'm just going to stand right here. I know what's going to happen. Hey, you have a choice, right? You can, because every single waking moment is a choice. And God's like, I'm just going to watch you. I see you. I see you. And we talk about faith on the show. And when we talk about faith, I talk about the F word, right? Which is faith is one of them. Faith is something that we got to hold on to. And it put us into one of the words that we're using, invisible. Faith is something that is invisible.
Mm-hmm.
It's a force that is invisible. That we believe something that we are not even seeing.
Right.
But we believe it.
Evidence of things hoped for.
We're hoping, right? We're hoping to accomplish this. So I'm believing it. So I oftentimes use my story and say, listen, I'll work around the end of my story and bring it forward. Like I see myself over there, so I'm going to work according to what I am seeing at the end, and I'm going to bring it here, and I'm going to work from here, and then see, I'm like, we're going to merge this. This is how we're going to do this.
Absolutely.
Right? So, because I'm not even going to get even to your daughter yet. It's just the fact that now we have invisible dirt. We have invisible dirt and dirty money. We have invisible damage. We did some invisible damage, and that section I'm going to come back to it because that invisible damage went on your daughter.
It definitely did. It definitely had an impact and played a role.
Right? The invisible damage. We want to put a little push pin on that for a second, because the invisible damage is something that we are not even talking about.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people talking about the story, but they're not talking about the invisible damage. So we're gonna put a push pin on that because we're gonna come back to that. But we want to talk about the day you got sentenced. You were about what, 28 at that time?
No,
you were 21?
No. When I got sentenced?
Yes, when you got locked away and you had to be sentenced for how many years were you sentenced for?
I was subsequently sentenced to 15 years and 8 months in federal prison.
And what age was that?
I was 32. I was 32 years old when I finally got sentenced. I was arrested at age 28. I was indicted by the federal government at age 28, and I didn't get sentenced for almost 4 more years. And so I languished and I sat in county jails and holdover jails and different facilities. And I was finally sentenced after I pled guilty, and I gave up the fight. I lost. I admitted defeat, and I was sentenced to 188 months in federal prison, 15 years in federal prison.
15 years.
Yeah, I was age 32. Yeah, 32 years old.
You just said something, and we fight so hard, and even though when we know something is still wrong. We know it's wrong because sometimes your right is my wrong and my wrong is your right. And when we know deep inside of our soul that something is wrong, that we are convicted of that wrong within ourselves, within our spirit, we still fighting. We're still fighting. Like, why is it that we're still fighting? And I guess it's the fight to survive, the fight to overcome, the fight to survive. It's so real that we fight ourselves just to reach another level, right? So I want to talk about something here, and that when we fight like that, it's a mental thing. Agree? It's a mental thing. It's a mental thing, and we go to mental health, and these are the things that we really need to address in mental health, because it's not really a month, it's really a day, every day. Talk to me, Aaron, about invisible tears.
Oh man, there's a pain that comes with separation. We're social beings. And the whole concept behind incarceration is to separate you from your nature, from your social setting, your social circle. And that's what it does. It separates you and places you far, far, far away from the people that you love, the ones that you care about, the ones that mean the most. And the idea is to inflict pain on you, right? There's not a physical pain. Like prison doesn't beat you up. Like the system doesn't physically beat you physically. It beats you mentally.
Yeah.
Right. So the pains of incarceration are 95% mental pains. And you're away and you're far away and you don't get to spend quality time with your family. You don't get to see your children. You don't get to have those firsts. You don't get to have those times where you take your son and to ride a bike or to learn how to shoot a basketball, or the first days of school, or even potty train. Like my son and my daughter my son was in diapers when I was incarcerated. So the beginnings of him shaping into a little boy, I miss those. And those are some hurtful moments. So even though I wasn't in an environment where it's even appreciated that a person would shed tears, I shed those tears. I cried about those times, even though there was no tissue to dry them because they didn't come out my eyes. Those tears were internal. Those tears poured and poured and poured for years. Missing my daughter's days at school, interactions and learning about boys, and missing the honor roll, missing the PTA meetings, missing those family reunions, missing those moments in my mama's living room and just having talks and conversations and laughing with her and having those joyous moments. I miss those moments, and that hurts. There's a pain that can't be explained, and the tears that come as a result of that pain aren't seen. They're invisible tears. You cry internal, and the fire and the pain, the flame that's inside is a raging inferno, and it burns internal.
I oftentimes says this: the choice that we make going to affect us one way or the other, right? So the things that we choose to do somewhere along the line is going to hit us in the, you know what I'm saying? It's going to hit us.
Right.
So every single choice that we make at age 21, you are sitting there involved in a world, and you knew, because I could see you, that you're brilliant. You're a brilliant man. I could see you at age 21 sitting there saying, I'm choosing this because I don't want to do this. Not seeing the invisible result of that choice.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, you hear about the result. You hear about people who go to jail, people who go to prison. You see it on TV, but it's all in your mind.
Yeah.
You wipe that away. You blame them. You say they did something wrong. They were reckless. They were wild, or they were doing something to draw the attention of the authorities. So the results are invisible.
Yeah.
The prison sentences and the trouble and the trauma and the hurt that you caused from that life that I lived, it's invisible. You shield that. You become blind, willfully blind on purpose, because you have to be numb and willfully ignorant in order to continue down that path and not care about what you are causing and what harm you're bringing to the macro and the micro all around you. So definitely the invisible results are far off down the road, but they exist.
Yes, and when they kick you, when they're like, hi, you're hi.
Absolutely.
Because now you're gonna encounter them, right? You're gonna encounter. You're like, oh no, and then when you encounter, you're like, oh, uh-oh,
Yeah.
this is really happening to me.
Yeah.
Because you had a whole life. You had this life, like lavishing life, like, hey, I'm living this lavishing life. I'm good. This is how this go. Hey, not seeing that down the road, like I'm waiting for you.
Yeah. I mean, you get glimpses of it, right? I have been arrested before I was finally indicted by the federal government. The federal government is usually the trump card, the last, so to speak, the big joker.
The big
You know
one.
what I mean? That's the one that comes in the end when you've been slapped on the wrist numerous times by other lower level agencies and you didn't learn a lesson.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, so I've been incarcerated in the city jail for a few months, a couple times.
Right.
You know,
right.
I'd had other instances where I hired lawyers and had cases disposed of and just given probation, but none of those stung. None of those, I never felt the pain. I was able to always minimize it in my mind and rationalize it away, and it wasn't until, like I say, age 28 when the federal government came knocking, when I saw that paperwork and it said the United States of America versus Aaron Kinzer. When I saw those letters, that was when it was, it came full circle and the weight was just, it was
something. It hit you.
Yeah, you can't rationalize that away. You can't explain that away.
Oh my God. It's like, blank. You're like, ooh, no, yeah. You start losing words.
Yeah.
I can just imagine, like, you start losing. You're like, okay, this weight is really big now. This is big stuff.
Yeah, and I don't lose words often. You know what I mean? Like, I keep a healthy amount of words on standby to express myself, or I always have a way to describe what I'm feeling or seeing or thinking. But when I saw that United States of America versus Aaron Kinzer, there was no words to speak.
You're like, wait a minute. It was just that's me.
A distant stare.
Like, wait a minute, that's me.
Everybody, like the whole everybody in the United States versus yeah.
And if you just visualize it for a second, like the entire United States of America, I mean, like, 52 states coming at me, little me. 50, oh my God! 50. I visualize, when I hear stuff like that, I like put myself into this visualization, and I'm thinking, okay, one state got this amount of people, then the other state got that amount of people, and I'm calculating like 52 states, right? So people, we're talking about America. America have 52 states. So if you dissect each state and like each state coming after you, I'm like, oh no. So now you become like a little ant, right? You become like a little ant for all these people that coming at you. That's big. That's heavy stuff.
Yeah, it was heavy.
That's heavy stuff right here.
It was heavy. It was definitely a heavy burden that there was no getting out under that. I had to confront that. There was no lawyer. I couldn't afford the lawyer. I didn't have any more money. All the drug profits and everything that I could have. It was all gone. It was all gone. It was over with.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How you felt? How you talk to us? How you felt in that deplete? Because that's a depletion. How you felt in that depleting moment? Like all that I had all these years. I know I had all this lavish. All that's gone from you. That's like, how describe that moment for you?
It was a humbling experience. It was really a humbling experience, and it really just, I was empty. And there was other people involved, like the mother of my children, my babies, she was also involved. So even in that moment, even though I was upset and frustrated and kind of worrying about what my future would be like, it was knowing that she was also caught up and also away from our babies. You know what I mean? And that above all, that more so, even more than me, that fact right there is really what set on me more, and thinking about what my life will look like, because now, it's not only about me now. There's 2 children, babies, toddlers. They're not only going to be missing their father, but now also their mother. And it's my fault. So even more so than being indicted by the government and the shame of being a drug dealer and being on the news and everything, and all the pain I brought, knowing that I caused that I caused my own 2 children to not just be without a father, but without a mother also. That was really a heavy burden and a level of pain that set with me, and it still sets with me to this day because I caused that, and they were affected by that.
So it goes back to where I was saying that I put the push pin there. It goes back to the invisible damage that you cause on not only yourself, because really we start off ourselves. So it not only cause on yourself, but it cause on your entire family.
Yeah, everybody.
Like your entire, it's like family, community, generations. Like generations to come, invisible damage caused by you.
Yeah, exactly right. And it took me to be made to sit down, to get time. Right. My mother always, we would always talk and talk about the life I was living, and she would always express to me, her desire for me to leave the world that I'm in, leave that world alone, and I didn't. I was hesitant, and her prayers for me not to succeed in that world came to life.
There you go.
And so I was, and I needed a hard stop because I'm a headstrong person. I'm really driven, really ambitious. And I was just really driven and ambitious in an illegal world and something really dangerous.
Yes.
And I was succeeding in that world.
Yes.
Being arrested is not a sign of failure in the illegal world. That means people conspired to bring you down. Most part, you did something reckless. But succeeding is earning money, income.
Yeah.
That's success in the world that we live in.
Yeah.
And I was doing that.
Yes.
I was doing it. And so I wouldn't have stopped. So I needed to stop. I needed to.
That's it.
I needed an external force to stop me, or else I never would have recognized the pain I was causing myself, my family, my community around me. I never would have taken the time to see that or appreciated that or even care about it in any form or fashion. It was just about me, and the money I could make at that time.
Selfishness, right? Because it's a form of selfishness. Yeah. And when it's a form of selfishness, we don't see the next person. We don't even see the baby that's on our lap. We don't even see the baby on our chest. We don't see that. And even though you poured into your daughter at that moment, you're like, baby, daddy's going to do this. You still didn't see her.
Right.
Right? You thought, baby, I'm telling you right now, this is the decision I'm about to make right about now. But you did not see that little girl. You saw that little girl. That little girl was like me, but you saw her.
No, I didn't see any of my children.
No.
I had them in my arms, kissing on them, hugging on them, nurturing them, changing diapers, and being a dad, but I wasn't being a father.
There you go.
I was, or vice versa. Everyone has their own definition of which is which, but I wasn't being a good version of either one.
Daddy and father, those are two different things. But either way, like you just said, that was like, it's about me. It's about me getting this. It's about me counting the money. It's about me saying I have this. It's about me saying I have a lavish life. It's about me. And when we start thinking only about me, it is such a selfish act because we're not thinking I'm providing for you. Look, I'm bringing in the bread. Okay, right. I'm bringing in this. And I think somewhere you wrote it that your fingers got black.
Yeah,
counting that money.
Yeah. I never knew money was dirty until.
And that's how you knew that money was dirty.
Yeah, literally dirty.
In the literal, right? In the literal sense, like, oh, money's dirty. Like, oh, because you sitting there every day like, oh, look at all this I have. Look at all this I have. Not knowing that if you pick up $1 right now, you're not seeing that dirt.
Invisible dirt.
You're not seeing it.
Yeah.
And it's there. And that is what the thing is that if we are not seeing this very thing that's going to damage us, how will we know that it's there? It takes a hardcore hit that you got, that I got, that somebody's got to give us that big wake up bump. Like, poof.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing? No, so you gonna stop because you see your mama's prayer go manifest itself one way or the other. You know what I'm saying? Your mama's like, listen, I'm gonna pray for my baby. I'm gonna pray, and the mama's prayer going on up to God's ears.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, do you see my boy right here? But God is saying, I see him. I see him, but I got a story, and that story is at the end.
Yeah.
Right? And God said, he saw you at the end, so he's going to take you through the process. So we see that going behind bars is like the process, right? It's a process. And we see so many times like behind the bars and like, oh my God, like your life is over. Like you just gone. Like, oh my God, cling, cling, cling. Gates down, gates lock up. And you're like, hey, that's it. Life is over. But you, my dear brother, with all the invisible damage, with all the invisible dirt, with all the invisible scar, and the physical and the one that's visible as well, that you caused, you went and got 15 years in jail. 15. 15 years a whole person. I said 15 years like a whole teenager, like a whole life.
It's a whole life, yeah. I served 13 years out of the 15. I served a total of 13 years, and yeah, it's a whole life. I just recently spoke to some 8th graders a few months ago, and I asked them, I said, how many of y'all in here are 13 years old? And they all raised their hand. And I said, I was incarcerated. I've been in prison your entire life. Ever since the day you were born, or even not even born, I spent that time in prison. A whole life, a whole young person.
A whole person. That's how I look at it, as a whole person. A whole person. That's like, my goodness. So you went on for 15 years like a whole person. And we get this perception of jail where you go and you're just like cling, cling, cling. You get all these orders and you get all these things and everything going ding, ding in this one order. But you did something. And I said that you mentioned a big word in the beginning, and that was redemption. You did something that we want to talk about. We want to talk about this redemption story behind the bars. Because not only that you are my brother here, not only that you served 15 years, not only your action caused invisible damage, not only your action caused invisible pain, mental illness, like all these things, like your choice caused a lot of things.
Right.
But somewhere along the line, God had his hand in you and he said, I'm going to keep you. I'm going to keep you. So within your 15 years in jail, you accomplished a lot. Let's talk about it. You became an advocate.
Yeah. During my time, I became an advocate for work. Oddly enough, because at 21 I quit work.
Right.
But it took me to go to be in prison to understand the value of work.
Yeah.
And then not only just learn the value for myself, but to spread the understanding of that value to my peers, and to be an advocate, sort of a recruiter for the work that I did while I was incarcerated. And so it was funny how life came full circle in that fashion. That and there's a lot of controversy around prison labor and what comes with it. And it's unfortunate, that it exists. It's a real thing. It happens. I've written about that, slave labor, slave wages, and the exploitation of inmates and whatnot. But, working the job in prison is not about the job. It's not about the money they make, the exploitation. And it's hard to separate that from someone who cares about you and who cares about how we are treated, but they don't know the life that's being led inside, and that you have to work. Not because they force you to, but if you want to maintain your sanity and want to keep some sense of normalcy in your brain, you have to have some type of thing to structure your day around. And it's work. It's sad that it's in the prison, but it is work. You're going to go to work, whether you're a janitor, whether you're a cook, whether you're a teacher, you're going to go to work. And so I became an advocate for work. I became an advocate for people to come work in the federal, in the prison factory. But not because we want to make them money, because we want to absorb what comes from that so that
Yes.
we can use it in our next phase, our next chapter in life.
And that's it. The next chapter of life is really
Right.
it, because when I believe, like, when you going in, when you get locked up for 15 years, it is saying that somewhere along the line within that you're gonna come home.
Absolutely.
You're gonna return. It's not like life without no sentence. You're not gonna see like one sunlight. You're not gonna see nothing. You got 15 years to me. I'm returning home.
Yeah.
So yes, so that was a great choice. And also, audience, let me tell you something about tonight's episode, because we are not gonna prolong tonight's episode. You know why we're not gonna do that? And I already said this from before we started, before that my brother is gonna come back. He's gonna come back, and I didn't even ask him. I just said that he's coming back. That he's going to be back. He's going to be back on the show. This show is, we have a seat for you. We have a seat for you, because this one story can't go in one episode. Okay. Your testimony cannot go in one episode. And it's not that we're running out of time or anything, but it's just, we just want what we are given to digest to the audience for a while. Then we feed them again, right? You get me? So we want to feed them, let them digest, like, okay. Just the same, we have to stop sometimes to sip my water. We wanted to just like pause for a second, and we are going to return. We're going to bring you back, because we want to finish this story. We want to finish this testimony of redemption. We want to finish some highlights of not only an advocate, but you became a published author.
Yeah, exactly.
And poet, and we want to hear all of that. So what do you say we don't give all of that good stuff and you come back tomorrow? If you want, come back tomorrow. Or we want to talk about it now. We want to hold on to your, how many you have 29%?
Yeah. I mean, we can pause for about 2 minutes and
right, no problem. So audience, guess what's going to happen? We are going to pause. You can go grab yourself some water. You can press share, invite somebody, and you go ahead and do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. We pause it for 2 seconds. We're going to continue the testimony.
Okay. All right.
All right. No problem.
All right.
Pause for a moment. All right. I could take, you can pause your video if you want. No problem. If you want, you can pause your video. We're just going to pause real quick, and then we are going to resume. Audience, we will be right back. Okay, we return. We are returning. We are returning. So we are here. We are talking with my brother Aaron with his real testimony of what God can do. And it's so funny. I talk about this, that God did it. That was one of my topic. That was one of my talks today. That God did it. And yes, wow, this is God's will. It is of God's will for us to be here today. So when I say that we are opening July with this testimony of power and redemption, let me tell you, do not doubt yourself. Do not doubt God, because God will do it for you. Your story might not be as Aaron's story. Your story might not be as Verona's story, but your story is Carly's story. Your story is your story. And once you belong, once you stay in your story, you will understand that everybody got their own story. Demetria's story is her story. And once we get this understanding that your story, you own your story. And once you own your story, you will see that when we come together, we can achieve so much with this story, because we paused just now where we were talking about Aaron became an advocate. He ended up in prison behind bars, cling, 15 years life sentence. 15 years. But what happened? He didn't just go there like, oh my God, I'm just here. I'm just going to be sitting here. I'm not going to do nothing. I'm just going to go with their rules and all this stuff. He became an advocate. And not only that, let me tell you something before I bring him back on. I want to say, I did shout out that he became a published author as well. Yep. Yes, he did. There are 2 books available that he published, 2 books. And before I bring him on, let me show up the books. These are the books. That's one, All You Can Be. I love this book. This book is so cute. I love this book really a lot. This one, and then this one right here, Outside the Margin of Error, a prisoner poem collection. I might have him read one of those poems. So let's return our guest back in the studio. Aaron!
Hey, we back. We are back.
We're back. I was just talking about the 2 books that you did. Let me tell you again, this author's world is a whole different story. But we were talking about you being an advocate in prison.
Yeah, definitely. I never expected that. I never expected to be in prison, working a prison job, and recruiting guys to come work for that job. You know what I mean? And there's always a realization, like, man, I'm not coming to do that. I'm not coming to do that. But it settles in that most guys that I dealt with were living a complete life of crime, like I lived.
Right. So you can relate.
Yeah. Work was not in their history. Like, no one punched the clock. They didn't want to come punch 9 to 5. So to live a life of basic illegal entrepreneurship.
Go ahead with yourself.
And then come to be humbled, and now you're choosing by choice to go allow yourself to be exploited inside of a prison factory for as low as 23 cents an hour. So it's hard to wrap your mind around that. Is not bigger, is not the money, is not the product you're making for this industry who's making millions of dollars over you. You have to get your mind to the point to where I have to reprogram my mind around how life really works. And life works by going to work in most cases. And so I wasn't going to get out. Most people who are locked up don't get out and jump right into a world of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I wasn't going back to the world I was in before. I was going back to a world where I would get a job and I would have to adjust my mind to working. So working in the prison industry prepares you for the world of work. And that's why you do the job. You do the job to get ready so you don't be tempted to go to your old life and end up being back to it.
Right.
So that's what being an advocate for workers and inmate and working in the prison was about. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't about because it was cool. It was about, man, we have to reprogram ourselves. So it was our personal form of rehab.
I like that. I like that because oftentimes we just wrap ourselves around the money, right? We wrap ourselves around, oh yeah, it's about the money, it's about the money. But it's not that, it's about you standing in the gap for somebody. It's about you encouraging somebody. It's about you working with somebody because I believe that when I come on this show, I said it's about us working together because nobody you can't just like I'm gonna succeed by myself. Your dirty money was not about you by yourself. You got it from somewhere. It was introduced to you somewhere, so somebody contribute to that. All the inflicted pain were from somebody. Somewhere was a trail. So either way we look at it, we gotta stand in the gap for somebody sometime.
Yes, absolutely,
Right? We gotta
absolutely.
stand in the gap for somebody sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I've had someone consistently standing in the gap for me in many ways. You know, the main two people in both ways was one is intangible was my mother, her prayers, her thoughts, her concern, her calling my name out to the universe and putting my name into the atmosphere
Yeah.
and to the ecosystem of life and breathing protection over me and summoning the powers of the Creator to keep the me shielded from the dangers of the life that I was living.
Yeah.
And you know, for the most part, it worked.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I mean, drug dealing is a dangerous world. Drugs and guns and crime and violence and death and murder go hand in hand.
You're putting everybody in danger.
You're putting everybody in danger, and I was able to be shielded. As much harm as I was causing indirectly to people's lives,
Yeah.
I was able to be physically shielded from the other harm that come with that world. And my other intercessor, my other one person who stood in my stead and stood in the gap for me was my brother in a more tangible sense, you know, because, you know, I live a life or the life you live in a crime life, you live that life and it's good for a long period. But when it's bad, it's really, really, really bad, you know, like bad in a major way, like life altering bad. And so when that happened to me numerous times, it was my brother who filled that gap, who came and swooped in from out of town, hours and hours away, driving to come move me out of an apartment that I've been evicted out of because I got caught with drugs, or come in and fill the gap and do this for me when I was incarcerated for periods of time, you know, and you know, so I can never be fully repaid. I can never repay those debts, you know, ever because I can't get those time back. And those people, brother and my mother, they stood in the gap as a team to watch me go down a bad path and warn me and be ignored, and then still pick up my pieces and fill in the gap after their prophecies and their words came to be true and all mine came to be false. They still stood there with their prayers and with their care and concern and their financial contributions to helping my children.
Yeah.
Stood there and they did that for me, and I can never ever repay that debt. And I'm forever grateful to how they stood in the gap for me and interceded for me.
Real quick, so your children, because both parents went to jail, so your children went to.
Man, her mother's mother, right? Their grandmother on their mother's side chipped in. It was a village. It was a village. So my oldest daughter, I got children by two different women. My oldest daughter went to live with her mother full time. She was with me part time. I was active, you know, I was an active father, but you know, so when I went away, she went to stay with her mother full time, 100%.
Okay.
And my two babies, my oldest was 8 years old when I left. My youngest were 2 and 1. Is their mother, who was my co-defendant, who went in with me. They went to live with their grandmother, and you know, her cousin helped out, and some other friends of the family helped out.
Yeah.
It took a village, and the village stepped up to the plate and helped us out, and really stepped in to fill that gap that again was caused by me and my decision making.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. I'm still gonna come back to the children. I still didn't talk about the children, but we're gonna get to them for a minute because you see, I keep on going dipping into them, but because the children are very touchy, right? So I'm gonna get back to the children for a minute. But you became a published author twice.
Yeah, I've done that in the last 5 months since February.
Okay, wait a minute now. Wait, reverse. Okay. You served 15 years. When 13, you came home?
13 years.
You served 13? You got sentenced to 15 and served 13?
Right. Right, there we go. There we go.
Huh? Okay,
Yeah.
who said this? Somebody's made the comment right there. Wow, this is God's.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it's one year got cut off, something got diminished somewhere along. Something got minimized.
Right.
Something got minimized. God is like, no, I want him now.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Right? Like, I know, I need this. This is the time I need for him to be out here.
Right. Right. So yeah, the published author. Since I've been released, however.
When was that?
What, my release?
Yes.
My unofficial release was April 4th last year, 2023. Unofficial release.
Wow.
Yeah, unofficially released. I walked out the gate April 4th and went on a two-day adventure bus ride from central Pennsylvania down to East Georgia, all down the East Coast, Philadelphia, New York, DC, Richmond, Virginia, Raleigh, North Carolina, all the way back down, all the way down to Eastern Georgia, to where it took 2 days, and that's a whole entire another story. So I was officially released April 4th, and I was still under supervision, right? A halfway house and a GPS ankle monitor for 2 months, and I was officially completely released from federal custody August 2nd, exactly today, 11 months ago.
Wait, you see what is happening?
Hey, there's a lot of anniversaries taking place right here, right?
Wait a minute. Oh my God.
Yeah. 11 months ago. 11 months ago today, I went into the halfway house. I left my brother's house where I was living with him. Again, in the tangible intercessory, my brother providing his home for me to live in. And, I got an ankle monitor on and providing that safe space for me to come and jumpstart my next life in. And I left his house, went to the halfway house center, the reentry center, and they cut the ankle monitor off my ankle. And I became a free man. And the first thing I did, I drove to my mother's apartment for the first time and went to see her.
What did your mother say?
She started calling on the name of the Lord, and she might have spoken tongues a little bit.
Like, wait, hold on. She probably done got the trash fan.
Yeah, definitely. The Holy Ghost came down. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it was a moment, because
oh my God,
it was my first time being in her living room and embracing her and us having our moment. The first time in 13 years that had happened. And matter of fact, the day I went to court, she drove me. She took me to court that day and dropped me off and left the courthouse without me. And I didn't come home for 13 years. And the day that I got free, as soon as I got free, I drove to her house to see her, and we hugged and embraced as a free man again for the first time.
Yeah. Went right back into her arms.
Yep.
I want to talk about something here, and we don't really talk about it much. Forgiveness. I want to talk about forgiveness because you wrote one of your book. So you did those books within 11 months, within like just recently. No.
See, the thing is, they've been published in the last 5 months, right? In February, I published my poetry collection, Outside the Margin of Error, and my children's book, All You Can Be, was just published May 6th, right? However, everything was written while I was incarcerated.
That's right.
I wrote everything by hand, and I typed it on typewriter, all during my time while I was incarcerated. So everything that's
so you came up with your stuff. You're like, listen, I came up with my work.
Yeah. It was one thing I brought two things with me. I brought my story and I brought my writings, which are an embodiment of the story, and everything that I was experiencing is just on paper in a creative form. But so my story and what I got in my head and what I got to tell, my experience and what I put on paper all those years is what I left the system with. And that's now I'm trying to use it creatively to blaze a trail, blaze a path, impact lives, and also create a living for myself. I hope to earn a living doing this as well.
Listen, you're making me want to salute you even some more. Like one of the book, this book, because we're gonna go into the other one. This one, All You Can Be. So, what inspired you to write this one and the title? Because I like it. The cover is just so inviting. What?
Right. Well, the idea behind this book is to just inspire children to believe in themselves. And sadly, I was living in a world where I wasn't I wasn't able to talk to my children on a regular basis. Right. So my phone calls are 15 minutes at a time. They're monitored, but I was an absent father, even though I was loving and caring and concerned, but I was absent.
Right.
Forcibly, but due to
Right.
my own decision, but by force, I was absent. So I couldn't have those talks with my son, with my daughters about living their dreams. And I couldn't go show them the vocational opportunities of being a dentist or being a doctor or being a firefighter or astronaut, the most basic or the most extreme, great professions. I couldn't do that as a father. I missed out on that. I robbed myself of that opportunity, and I robbed them of the opportunity and the blessing and luxury to have a father do what I wanted to do and should have been doing. So the book, All You Can Be, is an embodiment of me speaking to my children. Is what a parent or a father or a mother should be saying to their child. You can be a reporter. You can be an astronaut. You can be a doctor. You can be a dentist. You don't have to be, the story is, you don't have to be what I used to be.
Yes.
You don't have to be and fall victim to your own bad decisions and choose the life that I choose and bring harm and pain to yourself and all those around you. You can be something else. And even if it's just as little as a janitor, it has a purpose. And there is a role you play in bringing pleasure and peace to somebody's world, because you clean the floor as good as you could clean it. And somebody's world in some strange, minute way is made better, because if you're the janitor and the bathrooms and the trash is empty, the bathrooms are clean and the floors is clean, things are made better in some respect, and you have to take pride in that. And that's
because whatever job you're doing, do it to the best of your ability.
Right. Be all you can be.
Whether you're picking up a leaf.
Yeah, all you can be. So that book is the conversation of a parent, my conversation to my children that I couldn't have.
Yeah. That's powerful right there. That is a whole language by itself right there. Yeah. So have your children seen this book?
Yeah. I mean, they've seen it.
They all got a copy of this book. Because wait, you said one was one and a baby. Okay, so there are three. So now all three of them are at age.
Yes.
At this point.
Yeah, 22, 16, and 22, 17, and 15 right now.
And wow, 22, 17, and 15.
Yeah.
So these are big, like these, what, let's talk about forgiveness, because we want to go into the other book. Forgiveness. Let's talk about forgiveness, because forgiveness is very, it's power, it's freedom. And as much as they release you from prison, took off the shackles, took off the chain, took off the ankle bracelet, say, hey, you gone, you served your time, you paid it, you know what I'm saying? You did all of this, you served your time up in here. We said, bye, boy, get out of here, gone. Now you home. And there's a form of imprisonment outside here. There's a form of imprisonment outside the other side of the bars, the other side of imprisonment. And that form of imprisonment sometimes comes in unforgiveness.
Without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, cling, cling, cling. How did you stop and talk about forgiveness with your children?
It would be easy for a child to have a grudge and to be upset at and bitter and angry towards their father, or towards their absent parent, towards the
yeah.
I brought a lot of turmoil to my family, a lot of trauma, right?
Yes.
And it could have resulted in a lot of internal hurt and harm and long-term damage psychologically. The studies show that happens. So I was fortunate enough to still, during my incarceration, to have access to my children through phone, right? Even though I didn't have many visits with them, I was able to still have frequent phone contact and be able to penetrate through their ear and through their phone and try my best to remain relevant in their minds and present
Yes.
in their minds psychologically.
Yes.
And so I don't think that forgiveness was as hard for them as it has been for other children who doesn't have the benefit of frequent contact with their parent who's incarcerated.
Yes.
When I got out and I finally had my first visits with them and I saw my children, and I don't know yet. There may still be some conversations to have. I'm sure.
Yeah.
We have, and whatever they're feeling, they have the right to feel and express that. And I have the duty and obligation to sit down, shut up, and just listen to them vent angrily, frustratingly, and whatever way they want to get it off their chest. They have the right to do it because it's my fault. So I hope they haven't expressed that they haven't forgiven me, but we haven't had the full talk yet.
Yes.
And time will only tell when they will be ready to have that formal or informal talk with me about how they felt and what they feel happened to them and how they feel it has affected them in their new life and their adult life now that I'm home.
Yeah.
And so forgiveness is very important, man. And I'm hoping that they do forgive me for being a headstrong, obnoxious at times, ignorant, greedy, selfish father.
Yes.
And the result of that has brought a lot of harm to them, and I hope they forgive me for that. And
have you talked with all three of them to say, please forgive me? Have you asked for that?
No.
Because you know what happened, Aaron? Let me tell you something about us parents, right? We oftentimes don't go to our children and say, I am so sorry. I am sorry that I failed you as a parent. I am sorry that I was thinking only of myself. I am sorry that the choice that I made. That's something that we don't really do.
Right.
So if you have not done it yet, I encourage you to make that room.
Yeah, I don't think that I haven't said it in that form. I have definitely addressed my absence and spoke to them and let them know that, I got some making up to do. I owe you. I've told them that I owe you something, right? I messed up and I was away and I failed you.
Apologize.
And I failed you in many ways that you don't even understand yet.
Yes.
So I owe you.
So having that conversation.
Yeah.
Like you get, even if you have to talk to them like one by one, like, okay, the older one now is 22. So, you say like, okay, have a father, she's a daughter that you had.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you have that, you're like, okay, I'm going to have a father's daughter moment, right? You go and you're like, okay, we're sitting in the place, we want to have a father-daughter's moment, just me and you. We just going to be here. We out, all right. And then somewhere along the line, you bring up the conversation like, I want to say to you, I am sorry. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I am sorry. Allow yourself, Aaron, to say those words.
Mm-hmm.
So it could put something inside of your heart that's going to translate to your children in such a way that even if they were holding resentment, even if they were holding anger, all of that, it's going to get to them in another way, in another level. So when you have that little moment and you're like, I really want to say to you, I am sorry. You feel there's a power when we say, I am sorry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's definitely. They say forgiveness is not for the forgiven, it's for the forgiver. So, me asking them to forgive me is definitely me seeking, not a pass, but an opportunity a welcomed opportunity to redo or to right my wrong, so to speak.
Yeah,
But
because you can't go back in time, but this moment you can say those words that is gonna at least soothe, right? It soothe a path, it soothe something. You because you can't like, okay, I can't go back 22 years. You can't go back 22 years. I'm like, oh my God, 22 years. I want to take you to the dance. I want to meet the first boyfriend. I want to, you know what I'm saying? You can't do that. Like that is not even a go back. Is this moment like I want to say I am sorry to smooth now. To smooth now.
mhm.
That the next step is going to be a little bit smoother than it's going to be going in bumpy. You know what I'm saying? Like it's going to be bumpy. Then the one that's 15. No, you're in the teenage years. Like you teenagers, they have their own emotions. They have their own thing going on.
Yeah, they definitely
So you
do.
want to do the same thing. So I would encourage you to do the same thing and do it individually. Right? Because now they're big. Like one's 15, you're big. So do it individually. You know what I'm saying? When you do it individually, you will see that each time you do this, your freedom is even smoother.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is smoother. It's gonna be a smoother journey when you go individual. Like, all right, let's we going out. Which one is a boy? The last one is a boy.
The 15-year-old, yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
there you go. Last one is a boy. Like, all right, you know, I'm saying you're going to the park or something. Like, bro, we going to the park. You know what I'm saying? Let's go kick a ball or something. Let's go throw some hoops or something. And then, you know what I'm saying? You hold a conversation. So I want to encourage you to just drop that in the conversation somewhere along the line. Drop that in the conversation. Like, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
am truly sorry.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to having that real heart to heart because it's needed on both of us.
It's
I need
needed
it.
for both of you.
Yeah, I need it. I need it, and they don't even know they need it, but they do need it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that I'm sorry is going to be the power of the freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sorry, I'm sorry hold more. It's a vibration, right? It's a vibration that we want to hit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a vibration. So I'm going to congratulate you on that because it's going to be done. It is going to be done. And let's jump into the next book. What is outside of the margin of error?
Outside the margin of error is a
Is
prisoner's
this
poem collection. You know, when you live a life that's outside the margins of error,
yeah.
you got to pay a price. You got to be brought back into the margins. So outside the margin of error is a collection of writing, a collection of pain, passion, love, and loss, and living that I experienced and that I was able to document in a creative form during that time that I was being punished for living outside the margins of error. So during the hurtful times that I was being brought back into the margins and brought back into the circle of rules, the rules that govern society in the regular world, outside the margin of error was written. Those poems in that book reflect the time and my experience with the justice system. So my anger, my frustration, my sadness, my words towards the mother of my children and women who I was trying and attempting to love and be with, and fatherhood and the loss of my ability to be a father and a parent, and a guardian to my children, the loss of that responsibility. Like I took my fatherhood away from myself. And there was a pain involved with that. And that pain is expressed in a poem I have called Fatherhood Slain. It's in that book as well. So
Can we hear it?
Oh, I would have to read it to you. I don't really have it. I gotta read it. So pain about being in the solitary confinement for weeks at a time. There's a poem called Inner Parts that's in the book. There's a poem called about Inside Love, the pain about falling in love with a woman and then realizing that she can't really be the lover you need during this time in your life. And so, there were definitely a lot of emotions put into that book. And, I'm very proud that I was able to put everything, collect them, bring them all together and put them out there back in February and really make it available for the public to partake and really get a peek inside of the mind of a person who was experiencing that life I was living at that time.
Wow. And it's needed because, as I said, another person's story could be strength to somebody else.
Well, that's my hopes. That's my hopes. That's my hopes is that somebody, and I've had people, it's been really fulfilling over the last 5 months, the people to buy that book and tell me that I'm buying this book for my friend, he's on trial. I'm buying this book for my friend, she's incarcerated. I'm gonna send it to her. Hopefully it'll make her feel something. So I was really flattered and really inspired and encouraged to do more when people will tell me that they're buying the book for someone that they know was experiencing what I experienced when I wrote it and hopes that it could help them. So that was definitely something that really made me feel really good and made me feel worthwhile. It made me feel
yes.
Writing it and putting all those hours and nights and weeks and months I spent writing and just writing and putting my thoughts on paper to be creative, that someone can find value in that in a way that I didn't think they would find value in it. They're not even buying it for them. They're buying it because they think it's going to help somebody else. So I was really touched by that. And that happened on several occasions over the last couple of months. And I'm really proud of that. That makes it all worth it. I'm
just so proud. I'm just so proud. I'm in such a proud moment as a sister. I'm in such a moment as a mother. I'm in such a proud moment right now. It's like, wow. And those feedback alone to say, like, I'm taking your testimony and I'm going to gift it to somebody else. Because I believe this person needs your testimony. So it is your story that could add strength to somebody. It is your story that could have solution to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And God allow you to survive to be the storyteller.
Right.
So be that storyteller. Because when we are not seeing that, oh my God, like, what? Yeah, you survive because you have to be the storyteller, because your children could not have told your story the way you are telling your story.
Right.
They're giving their version.
No.
But your voice, your vibration, your energy, your sweat, your toil, your losing sleep, everything that's pouring onto your work is your story in the natural sense.
Yeah,
and that's what's needed.
Only I lived it, so only I can tell it.
Only you can tell it, because, like, oh my God, this. And no, I lived it. I lived the noise of the prison. I lived the clicking. I lived the this. I lived the that. I lived all of that. I lived losing this. I lived making a choice and losing my children. I lived through that. So who can tell the story better than you?
Yeah. And I tried to tell it creatively. I tried to paint pictures with my poems to where, I don't want to be so far off and fancy words. And
no, give it real.
No. I wanted to give some raw and visceral
That's
work.
what I'm saying. Make it
real. Someone can really feel it and visualize the scene. When I paint the picture, they can really see that. Like, man, I can see where you are and I feel that pain. And that's what I sought to do. And hopefully people who read it are touched by it and really can understand that this is what's going on. This is what was happening at this very moment. And this is what it looks like. This is what the walls feel like and the beds feel like. This is what it smells like. This is what you hear. You know what I mean? So, the jangle of keys, boot steps and count.
Yeah.
I mean? Like in the morning at 6 a.m. when you hear the guard walking down the hallway and the keys clanking on his hip every step, you can hear that. And you never forget those sounds. They're always in the back of your head. And
just going, just jingling
every day, boot steps and count and keys,
just jingling,
and doors unlocking and doors slamming every day. It becomes a rhythm, a music, so to speak.
Routinely,
a sickening harmony of sounds of incarceration, of doors slamming and doors and keys clicking and jangling and boots and yells and screams would all come together to make a symphonic cacophony in your ear, and it becomes your daily sounds, your daily music, and you can fall asleep with it. You wake up to it. It becomes a part of you.
Prison is not. I want to say, audience, before I say what I gotta say, I want to say I put the link. There's a link tree link in the chat. I put it over there. Please support this work. Please support this work, because at this point we need real testimony. We need real testimony, and who can tell a real testimony but the survivor? The survivor is the one that will tell the real testimony. So I would like to encourage you, if anyone out here did not get those books, because I put up the 2 books, the link tree is in there. You can read my brother's story, you can read his story, his testimony, his newsletters, all this good stuff. There are 2 books listed there. Please, if you did not get those books, by all means, go ahead and get those books. But when you get those books, do not forget to give a feedback. A feedback is very important in the artist world. It's very, very important. But I want to say this to you, Aaron. I want to say this. So many times people see inmates in such negative light.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, you off to prison, you commit a crime, you're in prison. Oh my God, that's it. Ooh, you cut off from society. And when you cut off from society, it's not a good thing. And something that you wrote, that social media is out here on the outside world. The inside world and the outside world, they're on 2 different waves, right? But I want to say this to the audience as well. I'm going to come back to you. Audience, when we are talking about inmates, let us not give such negative connotation to these people, because they are real people. Despite the crime that were committed, they're still human beings. Despite the choices that they make, they're still human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And every choice that we make, so whether Aaron's crime was this felony or that crime or drug this or that, at the end of the day, we all commit something. So when we are judging negatively that, oh, inmate, you're just inmate and you're just gone, they're not cut off from the world, and they should not be cut off from the world because they're serving time. And Aaron, I wanted to address this because you did a newsletter about social media and the inside world, right? And I believe that when we are holding on to a feeding tube, because I call it like a feeding tube, right? When we're holding on to the feeding tube, somebody's not getting nourished.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's not getting nourished. And inmates, like I said, inmates are real people. They have real gifts, they have real talents, they have real potential, got real expectation, real goals. Their destiny, their purpose are in there with them. They did not just get clink, 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 clink. Like Aaron just said, there's a routinely sound that goes on every day. They're not just in there listening to those noise and their gifts and talent got left back out here. So Aaron, I want you to talk about that that newsletter. You just released this newsletter about social media and the inmates. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, social media is not allowed inside prison. So, the rise of social media over the last 15, almost 20 years has been definitely over the last 13, 12 years. Social media has become a ubiquitous part of the world that we live in. It's a part of the fabric of our life. So everyone uses it in some form or fashion to make their world go round. And so, as a journalist and as a writer, being incarcerated, not having access to social media, it can be very harmful because you want to express yourself. You want to do your craft. You want to talk to people. You want to report on stories. Like I wanted to write and report about the life I was living because everybody paints us inside as a negative. TV, Hollywood does a disservice to us. They paint us in a very bad light, Hollywood does. So, there are third-party companies that utilize or outmaneuver the guards, the digital guards, so to speak, for our communications. There are communication platforms that exist inside prison settings that they give us messaging options and like JPay and Core Links, and you can send money, you can send emails through a real close email system. But there are companies that provide a workaround and allows us to communicate with the outside world by email without being guarded by the system, and we don't have to funnel our messages through a system of checks and balances. And so utilizing those options are risky, So I was able to purchase the option to use a messaging system for $20 a month. So I was able to get a real email address and submit articles and submit my work to publications for consideration. And I was able to bypass the guards that protect, so to speak, always protecting society from us bad inmates, So, and I was able to become a published journalist while I was living behind the fence, behind barbed wire. I was able to write for publications and get work out there and have my voice heard and paint a new picture and write a new narrative of the guys who live and call prison home. But what comes with that is a real risk of solitary confinement, living for weeks and weeks and weeks in the SHU, or even have your sentence extended for months at a time. So that is a risk you take in order to communicate with your family directly, or in order to become a writer and become a published journalist or writer and an author from inside incarceration, from inside a system of incarceration, and get your work out there. So it was definitely a trying time and one heck of an experience trying to utilize social media in the way that regular people use it, and just to feel connected. It's all about being connected, because that's the punishment, is to get you unconnected from the regular world. So there's a longing that's inside of an inmate, that's inside of a person who's living in prison, to be connected. And there's a willingness to take certain risks in order to do that. So there's a desperation we have, and that's how we live. That's the world. That's the world we're surrounded by.
That's the whole point. It's called social media. It's being social.
Social, exactly.
Yeah, it's social. It's a social media social. It's social. And when you are a journalist, when you become a journalist behind bars, it's because I oftentimes says this, right? That we gotta write things down. When we write things down, we're extracting our very thoughts. We're expelling our thoughts. Because so many times we don't write our thoughts down, and it's bombarded our mind. And what happened? It's not a good end result when we don't extract our thoughts, especially putting them unwrited. Write your thoughts down. Journalists are in prison. Doctors are in prison. Teachers are in prison.
Without a doubt.
They're there. So when we're suffocating the gifts behind bars, we are literally killing society.
Yeah.
We literally put in like a dead zone. We put in like, we're stopping somebody like, we're stopping somebody. So when we society have to look into things from the inside out, outside in, and like, okay, who are these people with potential? The same, and I think somewhere in your newsletter you mentioned this, the same skill that you had outside, outside on the street, you applied those same skills, and now you became a journalist, published author, advocate.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I mean, that's the whole point. Is to apply the same, because if you consider an inmate a criminal, okay, fine. But guess what? At the end of the day, they had a skill.
Yeah.
They didn't just get like, hey, to them, that's going to be a criminal. They had a skill to do the very things that they were doing. And they applied that skill to end up there.
Right.
So we want to say to society that you have potentials behind bars. You have gifts and talents behind bars. And we want to avoid strangulation of gifts and talents. right? We want to avoid this as much as possible because when God created all of us, He created us to replenish the earth. He created us to replenish the earth. And because He created us to replenish the earth, whether we are behind bars in the physical term or behind bars in our mind, somehow we got to work together. Somehow we want to work together so we can replenish the earth and bring forth fruit. I know that your job that you did in prison, right now somebody's benefiting from it. All those that you mentor in there, somebody's benefiting from it. All those you stood in the gap as an advocate for, somebody is benefiting from it. So as we close out this episode, I want you to look right here and tell somebody. Tell that child that's 21 a message. Give the child that's 21 a message and give that person who you planted a seed, because everything that we do in life is planted a seed. Because I tell you, I'm a farmer's daughter, so I like to use the seed analogy. Mm-hmm. Everything that we do in life is a seed. Everywhere that we step is a seed that we are planting. So whether we plant the bad seed or the good seed, we're planting a seed. You planted some seeds. And I want you at this moment, as we close out this episode, to tell that person that's 21, plant a seed in that person's life. And 2, for those that you planted the seeds behind bars, I would like for you to say something to them as well. So this moment is yours.
You are enough. You have the power and you have the God-given, creator-given power to take yourself everywhere that you want to be, to achieve every dream and goal you want to achieve. And you have the power to use your patience effectively. You may want it now. You may want the great things in life now, the fast car, the flashy car, the big house. You may want it this very moment, and you're not alone in that. Everyone wants what they want when they want it. But you will learn and you will appreciate the fact that if you just slow down and take a deep breath and plan your steps out, that you will have blessings on blessings on blessings, and you will feel a joy and a peace that you will never be able to imagine. And everything that you want, that you think you want now, that you think will feel good now, will feel so much better if you just take your time, put in your work, and earn it. Put in your efforts. You plant your seeds. You come back to your garden of your dreams, and you water that seed. You water that dream, and you prune that plant as it grows. You clip those leaves off and clear the weeds out of your garden. And what blossoms in your world will be something that you could never, ever, ever imagine will blossom. Something amazing and beautiful and gorgeous, and it will be you. You will blossom, and everything you want will blossom from that. And the tree that you become will be so rooted and firmly planted in the ground and the soil, this God-given soil, that you can never be moved. And everything you want will flourish from every branch that grows from your tree. And that's what I got for you. Believe in yourself, and everything that you want in life will come your way.
I ain't got nothing else to say. That's it. Believe.
Just believe.
Just believe. I ain't got nothing else to say but to say I salute you again. Again. I salute you again. I salute your release. I salute your release. I salute your work. Your work. Because there are 2 words, job and work. We don't want to have job. We want to have work, because the work is the assignment that's given to you. and you are an assignment. And an assignment was given to you, Aaron. An assignment was given to you. Carry on with the assignment. God got you this far. And he got you this far to let you know the work must go on. The work must go on.
Yes,
you have
indeed.
done well. You have done well. You have done well. And the best of your living the best life is not even here. You didn't even see it yet. You did not even get a glimpse of it yet. It's waiting for you. It's waiting for you. So as you continue to plant your seeds. Continue to build those seeds, to create those ground, cultivate those ground. As you continue, just know that you are not alone. And I want to leave this with you. Your voice matters. Your voice matters. So until we meet again, which is going to be soon. Until we meet again, I want to say to audience, I want to thank you for showing up. I want to thank the audience for showing up. Because when we show up, we got to understand we don't show up for ourselves. We show up for our family. We show up for our community. And most of all, we show up for generations to come. So when we show up, we must not only show up with an intention, but show up and take action. Take action, because every assignment is customized. So audience, know your assignment. As Aaron just says, take your time and put in the work, because the assignment is already given to you. Take your time. Everybody don't have to go on the fast lane. Take your time, put in the work, and you're going to blossom. So I want to thank the audience for showing up. I want to thank those who are behind you, Aaron, and around you, your support group. I want to thank your children. I want to thank your children. And I want to thank the mothers of your children. I want to thank them. I want to thank the grandmothers. I want to thank the village that kept your children in place. I want to thank them. I want to thank your mother for the life, a praying mother. And the life that she gave was you. You are her seed. I want to thank your mother for giving birth to you. Your work just started. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. As we close tonight's episode. Audience, again, if you want to follow, please follow, not even if. Please follow this brother. See his work. Support his work. Even if you just say, I see you, brother. Support oftentimes don't mean you pay money. And we misunderstand that concept sometimes. Support some, just like, brother, I see you. I salute you. Keep on going. Just a word is support. The link is in the chat. The link is right here. Click on the link. Read the newsletter that just came out today. Read it. Just show support and like follow him. You on social media, right?
Yeah.
What's your social media?
Facebook is Aaron Kinzer. Instagram is Aaron Kinzer 1. I'm there. You know, Aaron 1 Love Kinzer. TikTok, Snapchat.
That's
Twitter,
it.
X.
All I gotta do is type in your name.
Yeah, I'm there. But that link you provided, take everybody where they need to go.
There you go. Go. Let me put right here, people. Linktree is right here. You get everything. Everything in one house. You
get everything. The books are there. Please, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Please purchase a book for a child or for yourself. Yeah. Leave a review. leave a review, make a purchase. You
Yes.
know, so just support independent self-published authors and
Yes.
support people on their redemption path.
Yes. Redemption is the word. You have been redeemed. You have been redeemed. So I want to say thank you so much. And again, audience, thank you so much for tuning in on this episode. When we are going to have Aaron again, we will tell you because he's going to come back. His seat is already reserved right here. So thank you so much for tuning in onto this episode. See you and the next go around. Say any last minute word, Aaron?
Oh man, peace and love, peace and love, peace and love.
Peace and love. There we go. And then